Hi, I want to welcome you to my Substack Communication Excellence presentation tonight. I'm kind of excited about this presentation, not because I'm doing this presentation, but because the topic excites me quite a bit. Um, I've been scrolling around in YouTube and LinkedIn and Substack and Facebook and those general areas of social media and watching various things, specifically in the leadership development area. And um, one of the things that I'm finding very exciting is the idea that I'm seeing more and more references to interpersonal communication. Now, it's not where I would love to see it, or I'd like to see it, even close to it. But the idea that it's now becoming part of the jargon when people are talking about leadership. To some extent, it has been a little bit, but now it's becoming more frequent. People are taking it out of talking about active listening is important, for example, and they're actually drawing some more conclusions like if you are not there to talk to your employees, you are communicating even though you are silent. Silence is communication. It's just a different form of it. But that's about as far as they go. They don't go into why or what or the explanation behind it, which I wish they would start doing that. But I understand that there's not a lot of people who are educated in interpersonal communication. I talked to a lot of people, thousands and tens of thousands of people over my career, and just nobody has had that education. It's not felt like you needed it because you can talk and hear, so you assume you can communicate. But now we're beginning to see it infused into some of these broadcasts, some of these YouTube channel series, some Substack series. You're beginning to see it in action, or maybe you're beginning to see the absence of it in action in our United States government and how people are communicating around the world, even. So I found that somewhat interesting. So um, to kind of tell you why I'm excited about that, I want to kind of explain to you what I have done over the last 2 or 3 years in my retirement. I've kind of come out of retirement. I'm in semi-retirement, okay, um, and I've kind of wanted to do something that could help people become more effective as leaders down the road because it's going to be tough. So let me just take you over here for a second to this section right here. Um, there I am. Okay. And I want to kind of show you what I've put together. Okay. As someone who's focusing on interpersonal education being the primary focus of excellent leadership. And so one of the things I've done is I've created remote individual consulting. So now I've made myself available to consult, but I actually do a lot of chatting and talking about it with folks for free. The consulting part of it comes in when you really are trying to get something achieved rather than just discover and learn about or get excited about communication and leadership. But I do some consulting in that area. Then I have a 17-week seminar that is designed to make you or develop you into, or at least to begin make you familiar with what you need to do to be a good Renaissance leader of the future. I call it Renaissance Leadership Odyssey seminar program, and it's 17 weeks. It's almost like a semester of college courses, and I would probably put this at the senior to graduate level area of education expertise. And it is self instructed, but I get engaged to make sure you stay on track each week. You need to meet me with me just to make sure you're doing your homework and you're doing your exercises and all the stuff that's required during the week in between each of the segments. But the actual segments and the actual work to do, you can do pretty much on your own whenever you can get to it. Like there's videos for each of the segments, and then there's homework assignment, reading assignment, workbook assignment to do during the week, etc. So it's a pretty comprehensive program. It's a cool program, but you could take it by yourself, or I can do it in groups. I require a minimum of 5 people in the group and a maximum of 6. So that's not a wide range, but I would take 5 people. I prefer 6. And that's an optimal group for a remote team, educational team process. It's a good area. So, but anyway, that's one thing. So I have a remote individual consulting. I have this 17-week semester training program that you can do at any point in time. Oops. And then there's Substack Communication Excellence. It's a paid subscriber program I have on Substack. I have a newsletter every week, and then I follow that newsletter up with a YouTube live, and Substack simultaneously. Those two are being broadcast live, where I do a tutorial to enhance what we talked about in the newsletter, and then we do a segment where we can answer questions during that same tutorial. So tutorial is probably about a half hour long, and then it can go 45 minutes or so, but it's normally about a half hour, and then we can do another half hour, an hour worth of dialogue and discussion about it. Designed to really talk about it, give you plenty of time, no hurry. We're not on any time parameter or hurry, and you can kind of express your point of view. You have the time to do that, which is good. So anyway, I have that kind of program going on, and then I have I have what's called essential shaking. So sometimes I hit the button twice. The Leadership Transformational Library consists of my books, and I'll cover those in just a few minutes. So I'll move on to the next thing that I tend to have available, and that is a Communication Excellence YouTube channel. You want to subscribe over there and get engaged with that so you don't miss any of the videos I do that I make public. I have some paid the tutorials on the Substack. Those tutorials on YouTube are unlisted on YouTube, so you have to pay to be able to see those. You have to become a paid subscriber, and there's a reason for that. I have them linked to that educational format, so I want that kind of linked together with Substack more than just YouTube standalone. But I have several videos that are free on YouTube that are focused around communication and leadership. From that side of it. And then the final one is I have a program of communication organizational culture change consulting. I have a 360-degree assessment. I can come in to you and do your department. I can do all the departments in an organization and come up with an overall organizational one. Normally, where most people do that is they do a department at a time and work kind of through it. And then what I found is once the department does it and they begin to make the changes, and that those changes are very evident to the rest of the organization, and the rest of the organization wants to get involved in it. But it's something that if you were a leader and you just wanted to do on your own, it's inexpensive enough for you to be able to do on your own if you wanted to, for your own personal development. You wouldn't have to support, but the cost of it might, it can range anywhere from, depending on the size of it, uh, I don't know, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 for a department, up to, if you were doing an organization, it could be into the thousands of dollars. It might be that you want your organization to pay for that as part of their ongoing educational development program. That's where I find most people want to do those things. So, really, what I'm finding is out there is if you're doing a major presentation to a large group, or maybe you're doing an online coaching scenario with folks, or it could be that you're even doing an on site consulting project and you're working on site with your people that are there, or maybe you're engaged in a strategic planning session helping folks through things, or maybe you're even leading a high performance team. What I found out is people are beginning to put interpersonal communication into their dialogue when they're talking about these things. Now, have they put it together quite the way that I have in my program here? No, not yet. I don't see anything out there that I see that has it organized quite the way I do, and it's defined it quite as well as I have. That's not an arrogant thing. It's just a fact that I've been working on it for years. So, and it's just not been a priority for other people and what they're doing. And it's led to a series of things like my library. My library, I have um, uh, some books out there now that are um, um, on sale, and they're not on sale on Amazon. I wrote these books specifically in support of those other programs. They're what I call e-textbooks. They're electronic textbooks, and I wrote them that way for a reason. I didn't want them to be audio books. I didn't want them to be paperback books because there's a set value to an electronic book that allows you to keep it on your phone and make it available to you, and so it's like a digital reference library. So, you can each time you buy one of those books, you get a PDF link, and you can put those PDF links in a folder and say communication. And if you happen to run into a situation where you're going to be having a difficult discussion with an employee, you might want to go back and read that chapter on there in Navigating Conversations, for example, one of my books. You might want to read that chapter and just kind of refresh your memory about what you might want to make sure you're doing to kind of make sure that you handle that conversation correctly and as effectively as you can. That's the value of an ebook. Plus, I can put a link in there. So there are, for examples, in Renaissance Leadership book, when you're reading through there are two other pillars I recommend besides interpersonal communication. One's emotional intelligence, and one's positive intelligence, or what I call the psychological side of it. So it's a dynamic that you're probably not used to hearing that, because that is something that people have shied away from so much. But I think we need to pour into it really strong to help leaders become effective, and that's helping them understand who they are and what they're about and what they know. And it's almost a therapeutic program. And there are some programs out there that are working on that, like positive. Shirzad Shamin's positive intelligence program, and then you have Daniel Goleman's emotional intelligence program. So I recommend people go visit those programs, and then they use me and my program for developing their interpersonal communication side, which is really literally what you would call the concrete base for leadership. It's what holds leadership up enough to be successful. Otherwise, it falls apart and deteriorates in that light. So now, so those books that we talked about, they're available on my website, and so if you go into my website here, there's some services. What you have here is the phone version, the iPhone version of the website. But if you come up in here and go over and look at transformative books, that's the link where my books are. You can go through and you'll see all the books here, and there's an explanation of. Now they're all lined up by picture, and then they'll go into explanation of them. So you can see what they look like here. But then if you want to know about navigating conversations, here's a little blurb on that, and you go through there, and then as you come down here, this is kind of the people who can use these kinds of books. And then these are the links for purchasing. So if you wanted to purchase the book, you could click on this link. It'll take you directly into the store where I keep this book housed. And you can literally just buy it like you do on Amazon. The difference is you're on Amazon, you get access to access to a copy of it, and on this you're actually getting the PDF link. So if you decided you wanted to, it may have watermarks on some of them, but generally speaking, you could probably pass this on to other people if you wanted to. In my Substack now, I have all of these books in my Substack. If you're a paid subscriber, I've had it set up so you get sort of like a library card access. You don't get the PDF link, but you get an opportunity to go in and read all of those. You can't copy them, you can't reproduce them, you can't copy any part of them, but you can have them available on your phone for as long as you're a paid subscriber. So you could have every one of these books that I have available in those areas. And so these are available in that area. So if you went to the shop, for example, there you can see all the books that are available there for sale. They're all listed in that shop right there, and that on that. So, and also on this is a place right here on my events calendar where you can come down here and actually book me. You can go in here and see when I'm available, what calendar days I'm available for booking. And then you can go right in here and say, go right here and schedule an appointment, etc. So those things are all available in that area. So that's kind of what I wanted to just take a few minutes and tell you how excited I am that I'm seeing people mentioning interpersonal communication terms. They haven't got it all pulled together yet, but they really don't have to. They can just come and use my stuff all they want. That way they don't have to waste a lot of time putting that all together. And that's kind of another reason why I wanted to put it out on Substack, because there may be a lot of people out there trying to figure out how to do the research on this and how to do the research on that, and trying to figure out what prompt to give an AI to say, okay, how do I get communication? The reality is you have communication skills like performance management, doing performance appraisals, handling conflict management, managing teams, those kinds of things are there. and there are skill sets that you need to learn about those, and there's a lot of good things out there to teach you that. What I found over my 45 years of consulting was that wasn't as much the problem when I went into organizations. People knew what the values in the organization were. They just were not communicating them down. People knew that they needed to build trust. They just didn't know how to build trust so that they could apply the leadership skills effectively, correctly. For a particular leadership skill would require a different communication approach than, say, another uh, leadership skill. So that's what I kind of discovered. We've spent virtually no time teaching people how to communicate effectively. So consequently, we've found it over the last 5 decades. I think it's pretty, a lot of research data you can go dig up on your own. But most of the time, people come back from training programs, they don't implement them in their organization to where they affect change in their employees. Where employees change because of it, the leader changes and the whole organization changes. About 25% of the people who go to these programs come back and say, yeah, something better happened because I went to this program. So that's 75% of the people that are attending leadership development programs, for example, they're not doing anything with it. They're having a good time in Orlando or San Diego or wherever it's held. It's fairly nice places usually. And they're paying a lot of money. They're paying about $160 billion annually every year, probably more than that now. It's been a while since I checked, to develop leaders. And we're not getting, we're getting about 30% of our employees feel satisfied with their leadership. 30% of them are highly engaged with the company. That means 70% aren't. Okay, we have a large percentage of people who are looking for jobs in other companies. They don't see the company as that place that's providing them anything that they need from a humanistic standpoint. So it's just a revenue generator. So whoever's going to pay me the most revenue is where I'm going to go. Who needs this particular skill set I have? So it used to be people would spend a lot of time talking about their company and how they were proud to work for it. I remember that back in the 70s when I first started. I worked for a company called Electronic Data Systems, and they were premier data processing company at the time. And if you mentioned their name, people were going, wow, you must really enjoy working there. And I didn't enjoy working there. So you don't have that much today. So I just want to take a few minutes and talk about these things so that you had the opportunity to know that communication is making its way into the language of a lot of these YouTube presentations and Substack presentations and memes and things like that on LinkedIn and other places like that. So again, I encourage you to rewatch this several times because there's a lot of information on there. There's a lot of programs. If you notice, I've organized this fairly well, and to adjust just about everybody who's interested in being a better leader. You will be a better leader if you are a better communicator. No question about it. All right, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my Substack channel and over on my YouTube channel. And you can follow me on LinkedIn too. All that information is usually available in descriptions of these videos. Have a nice day and start learning about communication. It'll work for you. It'll work for you in your personal life too. Have a good day.